Hello, everybody, students, teachers, mentors. Welcome for the session number 2 of India AI Tinkerpreneur 2025. Hope all of you have by now undergone the session number 1, which was on the basics of AI and domains of AI. The speaker remains the same. It was Mr. Anup Singh Rawat ji, who was with us for the first session. We have received tremendous feedback for the session number 1 that it was so simple in language, so very understandable, and students have grasped on to the content which is now available on the AI Tinkerpreneur portal as well. So for those who have already taken session number 1, in the portal where you have registered yourself for India AI Tinkerpreneur, the content as well as the quiz is available to attempt. Okay, I'm repeating again. The content of the session number 1 and the quiz of the session number 1 is available on the portal where you have registered. Please go and have a look at the content and attempt the quiz as well. Only those who will attempt at least 8 quizzes out of 10 will be eligible for the participation certificate. Okay, so here we are. We are into the session number 2 today. And we have again with us Mr. Anup Singh Rawatji. Very warm welcome, Anup, for this session. And students are really looking forward. I can see the excitement in the chat box already. And if required, I'll be coming in between if there would be any question required to be answered in between while you will be speaking. But largely in the interest of everybody, we will be taking Q&A at the last until or unless it is required to be coming in between. Okay, so Anup, over to you for this very nicely placed session, very technical session. All of you are requested to please pay attention to each and every concept which Anup is going to deliver today. And after this session, the content and quiz of session number 2 will also be enabled. This is for everybody. Please get through this session. And after that, you can see all the content which will be shared today by Anup ji will be available on the portal. And there will be a quiz again for the session number 2, which you can attempt. Any other question regarding the program or regarding this session, you can put it on the chat box. We will be taking Q&A for the last 10 minutes of the session. So stay tuned and over to Anup ji from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubhamji. Welcome, students, to this second session in the series under the program AI Tinkerpreneurship. So let me just share with the screen, and then we get going with the session. So today we are going to talk about, in this session, yesterday we talked about the basic nuances of artificial intelligence. We also talked about the data part, and we also discussed around the 3 domains of artificial intelligence, just the introduction of the domains of artificial intelligence on the basis of the type of data we use in preparing our model or project. So just as a recap to that, all of us know that when we are using the data, that there are 3 different types of data those are your text data, image data, and your statistical numeric data. On the basis of these data, in artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence can be classified or divided into 3 domains, namely statistical data, computer vision, and natural language processing. So today in session number 2 under the series, we will be taking a deep dive into 2 of the domains, namely statistical data and computer vision domain. So in this session, we are going to talk about, when we talk about statistical data, we will be talking about what this statistical data is all about. We will be also talking about the applications that we use in our day-to-day life using statistical data, where statistical data domain is used. Then we will be talking about some of the AI models under statistical data domain. When I say statistical AI models, means what are those different algorithms that we can use to create or build our AI models. And then we will be looking into a use case study that how we select a problem, and for a particular problem, how we use statistical data domain to address that problem. So I will be taking you through to a complete project cycle where we will be addressing a problem statement, and using statistical data, we will be trying to come out with a possible solution. When we talk, the second domain that we are going to touch today is computer vision. And similarly, we will be talking about what is computer vision domain, what are the different applications that we use in our day-to-day life where CV or computer vision is used. Again, we will be touching upon some of the models, AI models under computer vision. That means what are the different algorithms that we normally use for creating our CV based models. And finally, we will be understanding a case study or a use case that how we can implement or how we can build a computer vision model. So this will be the agenda that we are going to be walking through. So starting with the first domain that we are going to touch is statistical data domain. As I've already shared with all of you just now, these are the topics that we are going to touch upon in statistical data domain. We will be getting to know the basics of statistical data domain. We will be talking about the applications. We will be getting into we will be getting to know few of the algorithms, models that we normally use to develop models, and then a use case study. Okay. So I hope all of you are excited to start this journey on statistical data domain. So when we talk of statistical data domain, as yesterday also we discussed something on statistical data domain. So first thing that we need to understand is what kind of data are we using, है ना? जब हम statistical data domain की बात करते हैं artificial intelligence में, सबसे पहले तो हमें ये समझना होता है कि हम किस प्रकार के डेटा की बात कर रहे हैं, किस टाइप का डेटा we are going to use it. So to answer it, okay, in a very simplified way, if you are the questions that you are seeing on your screen, these are the basic routine exercise kind of which we follow in our day to day life. हम अपने डेली जीवन में भी इस तरह के बहुत सारे अलग अलग प्रकार के क्वेश्चंस को, जहां पर कुछ न्यूमेरिक डेटा के फॉर्म में आंसर आता है और फिर हम उनको एनालाइज करते हैं, समझते हैं और फिर कुछ आंसर देने की कोशिश करते हैं. जैसे आप देख पा रहे होंगे यहाँ पर हमने लिखा हुआ है, हाउ मेनी स्टूडेंट्स आर देयर इन योर क्लास, how many members are there in your family, and if you want to buy candies, toffees for your classmates and chocolates for your family members, will you buy more candies or toffees or more chocolates? So what actually basically what we are trying to do, first in a, like, is a daily life example, first we are gathering the data through those two questions, and once we have gathered the data, we are analyzing it, which data is more, which data is less, and that data is basically then helping us to take a decision that if we want to buy a chocolates or if you want to buy candies or toffees, so how many, which whether chocolate or toffee, which out of the two we have to buy more in quantity. So how are we able to make or take those decisions? It is on the basis of the data that you have collected. Now, the very important question, now this is something, ये वो सब चीजें हैं जो हम अपने डेली लाइफ में ऑन डेली बेसिस करते हैं, ठीक है ना? हम सब ये काम करते हैं. Now, what is the important question over here? The important question is, can machine also understand the data like we do? क्या मशीन जो है वो भी डेटा को उसी तरह समझ सकती है, उसको एनालाइज कर सकती है, और उसमें से जो इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स हैं या उसके जो इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा में जो पैटर्न्स हैं, जो रिलेशनशिप्स हैं, उसको अंडरस्टैंड कर कर कुछ डिसीजंस लेने की उसके अंदर क्षमता हो सकती है या नहीं हो सकती है? तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है जो कौन एड्रेस करता है? इट इज एड्रेस्ड बाय योर स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन. So now when you talk of statistical data domain of artificial intelligence and you want to give a definition to that, okay, so what basically statistical data domain is? So it is a domain which enables the machine to understand the large amount of their numerical data, to understand the trends, patterns, relationship that your numerical data is containing. And after it has understood those trends, those patterns in the numerical data, it actually helps to take some wonderful decisions. Yes, yesterday we talked about, in that small video, we talked about how using a statistical data domain, वेदर इज प्रिडिक्टेड. यस, सो वेदर प्रिडिक्शन जो होता है वो किस प्रकार से हम लोग करते हैं, तो उसमें भी यूज डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स लाइक योर टेम्परेचर, विंड, प्रेसिपिटेशन, ह्यूमिडिटी. तो ये सब न्यूमेरिकल डेटा वैल्यूज आती है. ओके, सो इन डेटास को जब हम मशीन में फीड करते हैं, इट अंडरस्टैंड द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन हाउ ह्यूमिडिटी एंड टेम्परेचर इज रिलेटेड, how wind and precipitations are related, how temperature and rainfall is related to each other, what is the correlation between these data features. So once it has understood all those relationship and patterns within the data, we are able to predict the, what you can say, the weather condition or the temperature coming forward. So basically, when we are talking of statistical data domain, it is the domain of artificial intelligence that helps machine to understand the numeric data, analyze that, and helps in interpretation, that helps the machine to interpret and take some decision. Now, next is, once we have understood that what the statistical data is, statistical data क्या काम करता है, domain कैसे काम करती है. Now let's talk about some of the applications normally that we use. There are n number of application. अगर आप आज के टाइम में बात करते हैं हम लोग, so statistical data की बहुत सारी application है which we are using in our day-to-day life. Okay, all of you must have also developed many projects on them. So here, just to help you understand, I am also sharing one or two examples with you. One of those example is tourism. Yes. Now today, tourism is a very, what you can, is an industry which has a very high potential of, what you can say, generating revenue. Yes. आजकल आपने, हम सब ने देखा है कि जो टूरिज्म है, so tourism में इट बहुत बड़ा पोटेंशियल है, बहुत अर्निंग, लाइवलीहुड को, रेवेन्यू को जनरेट करने के लिए. बट and when we talk of tourism, so tourism is all about the places to visit, okay, the food, the culture, okay, and what you can say, the weather, the products of a particular place you are visiting, and everything what I just now I have talked about, commodity, okay, or the place is connected with a certain data set. So अगर जो हमारे tourism departments हैं, या जो लोग टूरिज्म में, टूर्स एंड ट्रेवल्स में काम करते हैं, okay, so they, what they do, they work on this data set. Yes, and then accordingly this data set helps them to create the plans or the packages for the people during this vacation. Like, let's say for example, summer vacation. Yes, now nowadays we are having these summer times and summer vacation. Now those who are into the tours and travel, they understand the mood of the people कि भाई गर्मियों की छुट्टियां हैं, तो पीपल, जो लोग हैं, उनको कहाँ जाना ज्यादा पसंद हो. So obviously they will be moving towards the hilly region, the mountains, the cold places. Yes. So जो उनके जो पूरा tour package होगा, they will be providing that package with the data set, with this information, which will actually help them to take decisions, creating those wonderful packages to attract more and more tourists visiting those places. So this is where statistics models or statistics data plays a very, very important role. Now, another important part, another important application where you find the role of statistical data, and it is a very practical example also. Now, all of you must may be remembering that 2019 and 2020, that era. Yes, जो आपका 2019 और 2020 का जो कालखंड था या समय था, हम सबको वो याद है because of COVID-19. Yes. Now, in the year 2020, Tokyo was, or Japan was supposed to host the Olympic Games also. Now, during that, during that, COVID was also hitting the peak. So they used these statistical models, wherein fitting all the required information, required data, input data, okay, which helped them understood or predict rather कि वो कौन सा समय होगा जब टोक्यो में कोविड का जो है वो पीक टाइम होगा, when it will hit the peak, and once they got that dates or the duration when COVID is going to be at the peak in Tokyo, they found that that duration was clashing with the dates of Tokyo Olympics. So they took a very wise decision and they postponed the entire games, which later happened, I think, in year 2022. So this is how they not only saved many lives, okay, and it was only possible because they could have worked the data, they had the data, they could put it in the a statistical model, and which helped them analyze, interpret, and help them take that justified decision. So जो statistical data domain है, इसके कई सारे applications है जो हम अपने day to day life में find करते हैं. नाउ मूविंग टू द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, जब हम लोग डोमेन की बात करते हैं, हम लोग डोमेन क्या काम करता है, ओके, देन वी टॉक अबाउट द एप्लीकेशन पार्ट ऑफ इट. बट द क्वेश्चन दैट ऑब्वियसली कम्स टू अवर माइंड, ये सब कैसे हम लोग कर सकते हैं, कैसे ये कौन सी वो चीजें हैं जो हमें ये मॉडल को डेवलप करने में हेल्प करेगी. Yesterday, when we talked about artificial intelligence, if you remember, we talked about that artificial intelligence, the basic ingredients, if I may call it, you need only two things. One is data, another is algorithm. Yesterday we talked about data in some depth, and but we did not touch the algorithm part. So today we will be talking about algorithms, or what I am calling here as models, also pertaining to statistical data domain. यानी कि जो स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन में वो कौन कौन से मॉडल्स हैं, वो कौन कौन से एल्गोरिदम्स हैं जिनको हम लोग यहाँ पर यूज कर सकते हैं. सो जब हम स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन की बात करते हैं, ओके, तो अपने आप में हमें एक चीज पता चल जाती है कि वो डोमेन है जहां पर डेटा जो है वो न्यूमेरिक या नंबर की फॉर्म में होगा. सो जब हम तो ये जो डोमेन है, ये जो स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन है, ये बेसिकली जो मॉडल आप लोग क्रिएट करते हैं वो क्या करता है, जो आपका डेटा है, जो नंबर फॉर्मेट डेटा है, उसके उसमें से पैटर्न्स, रिलेशनशिप को इन्फर करता है, उसको ढूंढता है, उसको पहचानता है, और देन इट हेल्प्स इन व्हाट यू कैन से प्रिडिक्टिंग what is the helps in predicting the patterns from the data, and that is how model works or gives you the decision. Basically, जब आप कोई भी मॉडल्स बनाते हैं, so there are two types of model, okay, basis the data. One is a classification, or one is a regression. Classification means where your data is more discrete in nature. Discrete means जहां पर उसकी आपकी जैसे कल yesterday also we talked about discrete and continuous numeric data. Discrete where your values is whole number, complete data होता है. जैसे अगर आपके फैमिलीज में कितने मेंबर हैं, तो आप बोलेंगे 4 मेंबर हैं, 5 मेंबर हैं, एक कंप्लीट नंबर है. लेकिन अगर आपसे कोई बोलेगा कि पाई का वैल्यू कितना होता है, तो आप बोलेंगे 3.14 समथिंग. और अगर कोई आपसे आपकी हाइट पूछेगा तो आप बोलेंगे 5.2, 5.3. सो ये कंटिन्यूअस हो गया. सो जब आपकी वैल्यू डिस्क्रीट होती है, तब आप क्लासिफिकेशन मॉडल काम करते हैं. और जब आपके पास क्या कहते हैं, कंटिन्यूअस डेटा होता है, देन यू यूज अ रिग्रेशन मॉडल. सो दोनों टाइप के जो आपके मॉडल्स होते हैं, इसमें आप जो एल्गोरिदम्स यूज करते हैं, यू यूज डिफरेंट एल्गोरिदम्स. लाइक फॉर इन regression you use linear regression and support vector regression. These are the name of your algorithms या model. लीनियर रिग्रेशन बेसिकली क्या काम करता है, जैसा कि नाम से आप समझ पा रहे होंगे. लीनियर मींस स्ट्रेट लाइन. यस, वी से ना लीनियर मोशन, स्ट्रेट लाइन मोशन. सो इट इज बेसिकली helping you to predict the what you can say continuous values or continuous data. In linear regression model, it basically establishes the relation between independent variable and dependent variable. ये कैसे काम करता है इसको हम आगे डिटेल में समझेंगे. बट in brief, if I have to explain you the linear algorithm, linear regression, ये जो रिग्रेशन है, लीनियर रिग्रेशन, ये डेटा के जो न्यूमेरिक डेटा है उसमें इंडिपेंडेंट और जो डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल है उनके बीच में कैसे रिलेशनशिप है, उसके ऊपर ये बेसिकली काम करता है. ओके, नाउ इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल और डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल से क्या मतलब है. इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स वो वेरिएबल होते हैं जिनको अपनी एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए किसी की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. डिपेंडेंट वो वेरिएबल है जिनकी वैल्यूज दूसरे वेरिएबल पर आधारित है या डिपेंड करते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, if I may use the pen over here. So see, if you have a equation like this, y is equal to x plus 6. Yes, a simple linear equation है आपके पास. Now इस linear equation में y will be a dependent variable. क्यों? क्योंकि उसकी वैल्यू x की वैल्यू पर डिपेंड करती है. So y becomes dependent and x is an independent value. उसकी कुछ भी वैल्यू होगी, y की वैल्यू उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करेगी. सो लीनियर रिग्रेशन जो एल्गोरिदम है, what it does, it establishes the relationship between these two dependent and independent variables. When we talk of classification algorithms, you have logistic regression, you have support vector machine, which is also called known as SVM. You have decision tree and random forest. Now, logistic regression, although the word regression is associated or attached with it, but it does not mean that it will establish a relationship between like what the linear regression does. No, this is basically a classifier. It is a classifier algorithm जो कि बाइनरी और मल्टी क्लास, बाइनरी मतलब दो और मल्टी क्लास मतलब जो दो से ज्यादा क्लासेस होंगी उनको क्लासिफाई करने में इट हेल्प्स. ये जो है इसका जो नेचर है या इसका जो बेस है, इट एस्टिमेट्स द प्रोबेबिलिटी. ये प्रोबेबिलिटी के ऊपर काम करता है. जो आपकी मैथ्स में आप लोग प्रोबेबिलिटी पढ़ते हैं, सो इट इज अ प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक algorithm which works on the probability, finding the probability of happening of a particular event, and to do so it uses a function known as sigmoid function. So this is just a basic information I'm giving you about it. When you delve deep into this algorithm, you will find how mathematically they work. Now, support vector machine is an another what you can say algorithm which can be used for both classification also, regression also. When you are using it for classification, you call it a support vector machine or SVM. When you are using it for regression, that is continuous value, that time you call it as support vector regression. Now this uses your geometry, or you can say the coordinate geometry, and also where it optimizes the convex part of it, where it creates a hyperplane. Okay, geometry में जो hyperplane होता है, to distinguish or classify the data features or data points from one another. Next is your decision tree and random forest, which basically are used for both classification and regression. They split the data and that act. So basically, when you talk of decision tree, it's a rule-based approach. जो their conditions को follow करते हुए gives you a particular decision. So these are some of the what you can say models in when you talk about statistical data. These are some of the models that we use. Now let's try to understand one of the algorithm known as linear regression. How does it work? ये काम कैसे करता है? Okay. So when we talk about linear regression, okay, as I've already discussed, जैसा कि अभी हम लोग बात करके आ रहे हैं, ये ऐसा एल्गोरिदम है जो डिपेंडेंट और इंडिपेंडेंट वैल्यूज और जिसको हम वेरिएबल्स बोलते हैं उनके बीच में रिलेशनशिप ड्रॉ करता है बाय फिटिंग देम इनटू अ वन लाइन. ओके, और इस लाइन को हम बोलते हैं रिग्रेशन लाइन या बेस्ट फिट लाइन. ओके, नाउ फॉर दिस अगेन, नाउ इफ यू टॉक अबाउट इक्वेशन ऑफ अ लाइन, आप लोगों ने सब में क्लास 9 10th में पढ़ा होगा इक्वेशन ऑफ अ लाइन विच इज इक्वल टू y इज इक्वल टू mx plus c. Yes, now here this y becomes your dependent variable because y की वैल्यू दो तीन चीजों पर डिपेंड करती है, स्पेशली x की वैल्यू पर, और जो स्लोप है m, और जो इंटरसेप्ट जो y पर, जहां पर y एक्सिस पर आपकी लाइन कट करती है, दैट इज द इंटरसेप्ट. So it basically depending upon all these three parameters. So this becomes your dependent. X is an independent and m is a slope and c is your intercept. So when you draw a straight line, how many points fit on that particular straight line? That straight line is known as your regression line or a best fit line. How it works? Let me help you understand with this example, a very good example. Okay, बहुत अच्छे से आपको समझ में आएगा इस सिंपल से एग्जांपल के थ्रू. Now when you have to do a weather prediction, आपको मान लीजिए weather prediction करना है, so आपने what you do, you take certain points and you create a lines. So what we are doing it over here is we have drawn three parallel lines. There are few points as you can see over here. So there are few points. These dots what you are seeing, these are your points. Okay. Now what we do, we just draw three parallel lines. Okay. Now, using these three parallel lines, we will try to find a relationship that which line best explains or best fits these data points. So what we will do here is, so first we are going to understand this best fit line. So what do we mean by the term best fit line? So best fit line वो लाइन होती है जिसपे मैक्सिमम पॉइंट्स जो है वो आपके प्लेस होते हैं, या बोल लीजिए उनका जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट है उस लाइन से इट्स जीरो. Okay, and that line is known as your, either you call it a best fit line or you call it as a regression line. Regression line means वो relationship बता रहा है कि independent और dependent variable के बीच में कितना distance है. So if this is my regression line, ये कुछ आप points देख रहे हैं. Okay, now this distance what you are seeing, the distance between this point and the straight line. Okay, ये जो आपको distance दिखाई दे रहा है, this distance is known as your, what you can say, a loss or an error. Why? Because this is my best fit line. ये मेरी actual line है, you या समझ लीजिए ये मेरे actual values है. But जो मेरे मॉडल जो प्रिडिक्ट कर रहा है या मॉडल जो मुझे वैल्यूज दे रहा है वो कुछ इस प्रकार से दे रहा है. सो व्हेन वी कॉल द डिस्टेंस, the difference between how far these points are from the best fit line, this distance is known as your error or loss function, and this actually helps us in refining the model. तो जितना हमें ये error मिलता है, so हम जिसको बोलते हैं ना back propagation in modeling, that helps in refining the model. So now we have these three lines A, B, C, red, blue, green, and yellow, and these are some of the points. Now let's try to find out using this concept of loss or error, that which line will be the best line to predict the weather. So let's talk about the blue line, calling it as a A. Okay, blue line हम लोग ले लेते हैं और A points है. Now there are altogether 7 points that we saw. Yes. Now in ये जो पूरे 7 points हैं, इनका हम इस ब्लू लाइन से डिस्टेंस मेजर करेंगे. ओके, as you can see on your screen, so we measure the distance of all these 7 points, how far or how close they are from that blue line. And this is like, this is what you get, 0.1, 2, 3, 4. If this is your 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 0.1, let's say these are hypothetical values, you can say 0.1 ka distance hai, these are similar to 0.1, but we can see that 1 point is on top of the line, which is a third point, which we can see that this is zero distance. That means this is a perfect, the line has understood the relationship for this particular data point perfectly. Rest of the points we can see the distance is in an increasing order or a decreasing order. We can see from here. So all these 7 points in A line, only 1 point is fitting on this data line. Now, similarly, we will go for the other 2 lines also, that is the green and the yellow line, and we'll try to find the minimum distance between them. Okay, or you can say the distance that is between the points and that line. So when you do this similar exercise for line B also, you will find that in line B, there are 3 points, okay, which are on the line itself, that means the minimum distance or the gap or the error or the loss function is 0. So that means this is the line. Now in line A, we only had 1 data point. But in line B, there are 3 data points which are on the line itself. That is the best fit line. Similarly, when you go for the C, okay, you find it that there is no data point which is lying on the C. Okay, there is no data point that you are seeing on the that fits the line C. Okay, सबका कुछ ना कुछ डिस्टेंस आ रहा है लाइन सी से, कुछ डिस्टेंस पर दिखाई दे रहे हैं, एंड नन ऑफ द पॉइंट इज ऑन टॉप ऑफ द लाइन सी. इसका मतलब है कि ये जो लाइन है, इट इज नॉट a perfect line. It cannot be used to predict anything. Now after we have seen the minimum distance or the error or the loss function of all these 3 lines, so will you be now able to tell, okay, using this the concept that we just gone through, कि कौन सी वो लाइन है जिसको आप बेस्ट फिट लाइन बोलेंगे? So obviously through those distance we saw that that blue line, only 1 point was fitting on it. The green line, that is the B line, Okay, 3 points were on that line of or fitting the line, but the yellow one, none of the line. So obviously we can say it with some conviction and confidence कि ये जो B line है, okay, this line will be the best fit line for making the prediction. So this is where we talk about. So when you talk of linear regression, so linear regression mathematically जो है किस तरीके से काम करता है, it finds that how the relationship between the variables, okay, and how closely they are fitting the best fit or the regression line what the model has predicted. So the points which best fits this line, you take them as your predicted values, the correct predicted values. Okay, so this was just a small explanation around कि जो linear regression model है वो कैसे काम करता है, एल्गोरिथम कैसे काम करता है, through a very simple example. Now let's move ahead and try to understand कि अगर आपको कोई एक real life problem आपके पास है and you want to create a AI project, AI model to solve that particular problem, किस तरीके आपका अप्रोच क्या होना चाहिए, आप कैसे शुरू करते हैं और कैसे आप स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन में उस मॉडल को क्रिएट करते हैं. सो लेट्स व्यू दिस व्हाट यू कैन से यूज केस स्टडी. नाउ so this use case study which I am sharing with all of you is all about portability of the water. ठीक है ना, portability of the water means potable water means जो पानी हम पी सकते हैं. Yes. Now when we talk of water, okay, ऐसे तो पानी हमें हर जगह ही मिल जाता है, बट जब आप ट्रैवल कर रहे होते हैं और कहीं पर भी जाते हैं तो हम हर जगह का पानी नहीं पीते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ आर हेल्थ इश्यूज. ओके, सो व्हाट वी सी, हाउ वी डिसाइड एट वेदर दिस वाटर इज ड्रिंकेबल और इट इज नॉट ड्रिंकेबल. तो जो वाटर ड्रिंकेबल होता है उसको बोलते हैं पोर्टेबल वाटर, और विच इज नॉट ड्रिंकेबल वी से दैट इज द वाटर इज नॉट पोर्टेबल. सो ये हमारा यूज केस है वेयर वी आर ट्राइंग टू एंश्योर दैट व्हाट हाउ गुड द वाटर इज गुड फॉर ड्रिंकिंग. Okay, so उसके लिए what we do, we follow something what is known as AI project cycle, which all of you are going to learn in the coming series of our this ongoing series. So first stage, else also, जब भी आप कोई प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करते हैं सबसे पहले हम लोग क्या करते हैं, प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व नहीं करते हैं बट कि प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट स्टेज इज अ प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट, जहां पर आप प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई करके अपने गोल्स को, आपको क्या अचीव करना है, व्हाट यू वांट टू अचीव, यू डिसाइड अपॉन दैट. सो हियर my problem statement is for a given water quality data, I have some data set. Okay, we need to classify that whether it is a potable or a non-potable. ओके, आपके पास एक वाटर का डेटा सेट है, उस डेटा सेट को यूज कर कर विच इज ऑब्वियसली विल बी ए स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा, यू विल हैव टू डिसाइड और क्लासिफाई, नॉट यू बट योर मॉडल हैज टू क्लासिफाई whether that water is drinkable or it is not drinkable, whether it's a quality data potable or it is not a potable. So now this is your data set what you are seeing on your screen. Okay, this is the water quality data set. Now let's understand this data set first. Okay, then we'll move slowly ahead. So as you can see yourself that this data set has got 12, I think 10 or 12 columns. Okay, 10, I think 4, 3, 3, 6, 10 columns. Okay, so these 10 columns, these which I'm marking as red, all these are known as your categories or labels. Okay, ये सारे आपके क्या है, data features है, जिनको आप लेबल्स भी बोलते हैं, ओके, या डेटा पॉइंट्स बोलते हैं. ओके, एंड ऑल्सो जनरली व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग इन ऑन अ स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा, तो जितने भी आपके कॉलम के हेड्स होते हैं दे आर टर्म्ड एज योर डेटा पॉइंट, डेटा लेबल्स या कैटेगरीज. ये जो आपकी रोज में जो वैल्यूज है, this is your data, this is your volumetric. Rows will be your data, how much data you have, but columns will tell you about the labels of your data. So if you see over here, there are 10 different labels. You have pH values, hardness, solids, chloramines, sulfate, conductivity, organic carbon, trihalomethanes, turbidity, and portability. So using these parameters, which you can also call a parameter, we are going to now work upon this to find the whether the water is drinkable, potable or not. So first stage is when you start your work, when you start working on it on a Jupyter notebook or Python based any other platform. Okay, you import the libraries and packages which will be required for this particular purpose. As you can see that there are different libraries and packages that you will be requiring for it, like your NumPys, your Pandas, your Matplotlib, Seaborn, which will be for your visualization, and all these sklearn is a very good library, which from where you can get most of the things like standard scalar, train, test split for pre-processing the data. When you have to modeling means just now we discussed logistic regression means when you are using the algorithm. So you just import those libraries from this sklearn, and then finally you evaluate the. So for n, so this is a standard procedure you can also see when you create a basic model. So this is the standard stages or step of procedure how you develop a model. First you upload a data set, you visualize the data set to what we also call as the EDA, that is exploratory data analysis, where you visualize to see many aspects of the data. Then you process the data, that means refine and get your data ready for the training. Finally, you train the models, that means where you are using the algorithms. And once your model is trained, then you find the accuracy and all those things, evaluating the model. So once you have done this, so the second stage will be you are uploading the data set. So to upload the data set, you have already imported the pandas. Using the pandas library, you use this pd.read command, and you know the what you can say the name of your data set. So here the data set will be in a CSV file format that you are going to upload using the pd.read underscore CSV function. DF will be your data frame, that is you are creating a variable जिसको आप कोई भी नाम रख सकते हैं, but here they have kept as a what you can say DF as a data frame. Once your data is uploaded, how you are going to check, how you are going to ensure the data is uploaded, you will use a dot head function. Okay, now dot head function basically what it gives is it gives you the first 5 rows of your data. By default, it will give you the first 5 rows, which will explain it will tell you the entire whatever the data structure is there. So it will give you all the column names as you can see on your screen, and it will give you the first 5 corresponding values of the first 5 rows. That is this is used to ensure my data is successfully uploaded. Now, once you have uploaded, then you will use the column function. Okay, so that you know what are my columns name, column की heading क्या क्या है. Okay, because आप लोग वैसे तो आपके data set में से आपने columns को पहचान लाएंगे, but still you want to know, because see sometimes your data set is a huge data set. आपके पास 25-30 columns का भी अगर data set होगा, so all these 25-30 data columns are not visible. So what you do, you use the dot column so function to get the names of all the column. जैसे and whatever the name of columns will be there, वो आपको list out हो जाएंगे. Then once we have done this, so we move to the next stage, that is the data processing stage. Now in data processing stage, you perform, there are different stages or different steps, not stages, but rather there are different steps. अलग-अलग steps आपको करने पड़ते हैं data को process करने के लिए. So यानी कि you are trying to understand the data, and there are different steps into it. So first step that you do is you try to find the, what you can say, what is the data type you have, whether it's an integers, whether it's a float, or also you try to find out whether you have a null values, or null values means whether the values are there or missing values or not. So there you use your using the what you can say the data type, the dot type function, and your is null, you will get all these things. Then you go into the columns and the shape of the data. When you use the columns, it will, as I've already mentioned, it will give you the name of all the columns. Shape will tell you how many rows and how many columns are there. So as you can see on your screen also, it is telling you 3, 2, 7, 6, and 10. That means the rows, the volume of the data is of 3276, and there are 10 columns. Okay. And then you use the dot describe function to get the statistical inferences or the statistical information that your data contains. Statistical information means the mean, the median, the mode, standard deviation, variances, maximum value, the minimum value. This all you can get at a glance using the dot describe function. So these are all stages under your data pre-processing. Now, as per your data, you have to, we do many stages, but few stages we don't do for all the data set. That, for example, here we are trying to check the potable and non potable water bodies, यानी कि जो हमारा डेटा है इट इज अन बैलेंस डेटा. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि दैट जो पोर्टेबल डेटा सेट है उसका डेटा ज्यादा है और जो नॉन पोर्टेबल बॉडीज है, नॉन पोर्टेबल वाटर, नॉन ड्रिंकेबल वाटर का डेटा हमारे पास कम. सो दैट मीन्स व्हाट इज द सिमेट्री ऑफ माय डेटा. So to understand that, we what you can say, use the matplotlib library to plot to find out the how my data distribution of data, how the data is distributed. Once we have understood the distribution of data set, okay, what we do, we go into the next part, finding out if there are any missing values to it. Okay, now missing values is, okay, so now as you can see from here, there are 12 different columns. Okay, now for all 12 columns, when you are talking about, so you will get here, they are showing certain values. Rest of them are 0, indicating there are no missing values, but then there are certain values for sulfate, PHN, trihalomethane, that indicates कि यहाँ पर कुछ values missing है. So what we have to do, this actually helps us in takes us to the next stage where we have to fill these missing values. Okay, now since my data, we have already so worked out that the data is a somewhat skewed data. Skewed data means that when you plot a graph, something like this, okay, so it should, if it is a perfect graph like this, a bell curve, okay, we say it's a symmetrical data. But many a times what happens, the data will be either a right skewed or a left skewed. That means from this median, या तो वो राइट की तरफ ज्यादा झुका हुआ होगा, मतलब डेटा कम होगा, या लेफ्ट की तरफ ज्यादा डेटा सेट आपका कम होगा. So once we have understood that distribution or dispersion of the data, in this case, what we do, we fill these missing values using the median values. Okay, so here the method of imputation means when you map or fill in these impute these missing values with this. Here, since my data is a skewed kind of a data, so we are using the median values, and finally we see that none of the values are missing. That means now we have some values for every data set. So once we have done all this pre-processing part, the next stage in the pre-processing is where we try to find the correlation between the data. Okay, data features, क्योंकि बहुत सारे फीचर्स हैं. सो डेटा जैसे आपके पास पीएच वैल्यू है, सो पीएच वैल्यू और सल्फेट में क्या रिलेशनशिप हो सकता है, पीएच वैल्यू और टर्बिडिटी में क्या रिलेशन होता है. उसके लिए व्हाट वी डू, वी यूज अ हीट मैप. वी क्रिएट, this is known as your heat map, students. So we create a heat map, and this heat map tells us how much, what part or how much percentage of one data point has a correlation with the another. If we find, okay, that the two what you can say parameters are correlated, highly correlated to each other, we remove some of those redundant data. Because why we remove? Because see, if two features, let's say my pH value and my sulfate values, they are highly related to each other, so that means both will be giving me same kind of information. Yes or no, students? So when I'm getting same kind of information, so why I will be using two different data points? It is just increasing my volume only. So such data becomes redundant, and I only use one of them out of the two. Once we have done this, then I go for the outliers. Outliers means जो आपकी रेंज से बाहर होते हैं, data which is outside your range. Okay, so all these, so you can put using a matplotlib library, you can plot a box plot graph. Okay, that box plot helps you understand whether your data is having an outlier. As you can see from here, these are your outliers which are outside the range of this box plot. So then you fix them using an IQR, that is an interquartile range method, so that all these values which are not in the range, they are either removed or brought into the range. Finally, you standardize your data and you do the sampling of the data also, okay, using a test train split, okay, 75% and 25%. That means 25% becomes your test data, guys, and 75% becomes your training data which you use, okay. Once you have splitted your data using a test train split library, you standardize the data. Standardize the data means where you are standardizing the data within the similar वैल्यूज अरेंज, लेट से 0 to 1 के बीच में सारी वैल्यूज होंगी, बिकॉज कुछ वैल्यूज आपकी ऐसा भी हो सकता है 96 पॉइंट समथिंग हो, कुछ आपकी 0 पॉइंट में ही हो. तो दिस इज अ नॉट यूनिफॉर्म डेटा. सो व्हाट यूजिंग दिस standard scalar library, we standardize the entire data. And finally, once the data is refined clean, we go into the training of our models. So here we train our models, and when you train the models, it is always suggested that you don't just train one model. We train 2 or 3 models so that we can do a comparative study between the different models, that which model is performing better. Because if you only train one model, then you will not have a choice, है ना. तो इसलिए हम क्या करते हैं, 2 या 3 मॉडल ट्रेन करते हैं सिमिलर, जिससे कि हमारे पास कंपेरेटिव करने को हो जाए. सो हियर, as you can see, we are using logistic regression, we are using decision tree classifier, and we also have trained random forest and support vector machine. The 4 algorithms of 4. So we have created the 4 different models over here. Once you have created these 4 different models, okay, then it's time to evaluate. That means the model is already trained. अब हम उसको evaluate करेंगे. And so to evaluate, you use this predict function, and you import this take out the accuracy, use the confusion matrix, okay, and also get your classification report, which will tell you what is the accuracy, okay. As you can see from here, this is for logistic regression. It is telling you that this has an accuracy of 0.52 or 52%, you can call it. And similarly, it will give you this, what you can say, the classification report, where it talking of precision, recall, F1 score. Support means how much amount of data you have used to arrive to this particular point. So once you have done all these things, so you also get a summary for all the machine learning models. Okay. Finally, this summary will tell you the performance of all the 4 models at a glance. तो ये चारों मॉडल्स जो आपने ट्रेन करे हैं, उन चारों मॉडल्स का परफॉर्मेंस क्या रहा है, उसकी जो समरी शीट जब आप उसको ड्रॉ करते हैं, एज यू कैन सी, सो फ्रॉम दिस समरी शीट वी कैन क्लियरली मेक आउट that this random forest classifier stands out for its performance, क्योंकि उसका परफॉर्मेंस कितना है, 66.7.86. सो नाउ यू नो दैट व्हेन यू गो फॉर द डिप्लॉयमेंट, जब आपको इसको इंप्लीमेंट करना होगा, सो यू विल ऑलवेज यूज रैंडम फॉरेस्ट क्लासिफायर, बिकॉज उसका रिजल्ट बेस्ट है. सो दिस वाज a small use case for statistical data domain. So this is how I hope इस सेक्शन में आपको स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन के बारे में थोड़ा और समझ में आ गया होगा कि क्या डोमेन है, क्या मॉडल्स, कौन कौन से एल्गोरिदम्स हमारे पास इस मॉडल में होते हैं, और हम लोग कैसे, जब हम स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा डोमेन पे काम करते हैं, तो अगर हमें कोई मॉडल प्रोजेक्ट बनाना होगा, सो हाउ डू वी स्टार्ट, हाउ डू वी प्रोसीड ऑन इट, और किस प्रकार से हम लोग डेटा को प्रोसेस करते हैं, फिर उसको ट्रेन करते हैं, और फाइनली वी इवैल्यूएट. Now, next section, quickly we move to computer vision domain. Here also we will be talking about in brief computer vision domain क्या है, उसके क्या कौन कौन से एप्लीकेशन है जो हम रियल लाइफ में यूज करते हैं. हम फिर से बात करेंगे कि कंप्यूटर विजन डोमेन में कौन कौन सी वो मॉडल्स हैं, यानी कि कौन कौन से वो एल्गोरिदम्स हैं जो हम लोग यूज करते हैं मॉडल्स को डेवलप करने में. और फिर हम लोग एक छोटा सा यूज केस देखेंगे कि किस प्रकार से हम एक सीवी में, कंप्यूटर विजन में, एक कोई भी मॉडल को क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद कंप्यूटर विजन डोमेन. So when you talk of computer vision domain, as all of us know, computer vision domain basically is related to the vision part. Yes. So जब आप इसको कंप्यूटर विजन की बात करते हैं, so this is something which relates to the vision. और अगर आप इसको ह्यूमन विजन सिस्टम से, if you compare it with human vision system, है ना, जैसा कि जिस प्रकार से हम लोग कैसे देख पाते हैं। सो जब हम लोग कोई भी चीज देखते हैं, बेसिकली वी यूज टू डिफरेंट ऑर्गन्स। ओके, अगर आप किसी से पूछेंगे कि हम अगर ह्यूमन ऑर्गन, कौन सा वो ह्यूमन ऑर्गन है जो देखने में हेल्प करता है, तो सब लोग बोलेंगे आंखें, आईज। बट इट इज एक्चुअली नॉट आईज। आईज के काम करती हैं केवल उस ऑब्जेक्ट को कैप्चर करने का काम करते हैं, जस्ट लाइक द शटर बग ऑफ योर कैमरा। बट उसका प्रोसेसिंग कहां पर होता है, वो ब्रेन में होता है। सो जब उसका प्रोसेसिंग ब्रेन में होता है, देन यू गेट द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट this is basically what you have seen or what eyes have captured. So the same philosophy, the same, when the same thing gets introduced or incorporated in a machine, तो machine images को कैसे recognize करती है? Because we cannot use the word machine can see. So instead of see, what we use, recognize an image object and understands. जब आप कोई भी input देते हैं, when you give any input data as an image or a video, how does your machine recognize whether it's a cat or a dog and understand? So that is where this computer vision domain, basically, this is how basically this computer vision domain works. So computer vision helps machine to understand the patterns, identify the patterns in the images of whatever you have given. And when I say identify the patterns, that means it looks into the features. Like yesterday also we gave the same example. If let's say you are training a model which will classify dogs, so it will learn the features of the dogs, like number of eyes, ears, nose, limbs, length of the tail, body shape, etc. So on the basis of these features, when will be able to identify these feature patterns, it will recognize the image of a dog. So this is how computer vision as a domain basically helps machine to understand or recognize any image. So in short, if I have to say, it is nothing but it is helping to identify the features of a particular image, okay, or a data image. उस image का features क्या है, उसको it identifies, and on the basis of that, then it trains itself on that to help machine recognize कि ये dog है, cat है, human है, या कोई fruit है. Okay, so this is what computer vision basically does. Next, we come to application of computer visions. So there are numerous application of computer vision, as we discussed yesterday also. So uh, one of the what you can say where we find the use of computer vision used very aggressively, बहुत ज्यादा जिसका हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं in the field of agriculture. Okay, agriculture में we know that whether it is to test not test the soil but look to find out the health of my plant, कि भाई मेरी जो प्लांट है उसकी लीव्स को देखकर ही कैन आई फाइंड आउट कि इसका हेल्थ कैसा है, या उसमें कोई इंसेक्ट का इन्फेस्टेशन अगर हो रखा है, कोई इसमें इंसेक्ट अगर लग गया है जो नेकेड आई से नहीं दिखाई देता है, सो कैन कंप्यूटर विजन हेल्प्स मी. सो देयर आर मेनी examples where you will find that computer vision has been used in different ways to help our farmers, okay, to not only identify the disease in a plant or a crop, also to identify whether the crop is infested with the pests, okay, or an insects, also to identify the health by seeing the what you can say the physical state of the plant, कि भाई इसमें कितना पानी देना है नहीं देना है, all those things. So these are some apart from these are practical applications, okay, and there are many other applications that you will find out. So now once we have talked about the basics of computer vision application, अब हम चलते हैं कुछ algorithms की बात करते हैं, which we will which we should know that when you are working in a on a computer vision domain, what are those algorithms, what are those models that one can use. So similarly, like statistical data models, they work on numeric data to infer. Okay, in computer vision, the data that is used is images or videos, which helps in understanding by identifying the feature patterns. You use those models to classify or predict something. So there are few algorithms that I am sharing with all of you. One of them is what you can say CNN, RCNN, YOLO, IFCN, then there is your OCR, media pipe, okay, UNet, and there are many others. So CNN, that is the full form is convolutional neural network. This convolutional neural network basically uh, is used, is a core architecture that used for image related data और इमेज रिलेटेड टास्क रादर, जो जहां पर आपको इमेज का क्लासिफिकेशन करना होता है, तब आप CNN कॉन्वोल्यूशनल न्यूरल नेटवर्क एल्गोरिदम को यूज करते हैं। RCNN, जिसका की फुल फॉर्म है रीजन बेस्ड कॉन्वोल्यूशनल न्यूरल नेटवर्क, ये बेसिकली ये और जो दूसरा आपको नाम दिखाई दे रहा है स्टूडेंट्स, योलो, योलो का फुल फॉर्म है यू ओनली लुक वंस। These are these algorithms are basically used to detect and localize multiple objects. जब आपके फोटो फ्रेम में बहुत सारे ऑब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं, एक ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ समझ लीजिए, तो उसमें उन इंडिविजुअल ऑब्जेक्ट्स को डिटेक्ट करना और उनको लोकलाइज करना कि वो एग्जैक्टली कहाँ पर प्रेजेंट है, ये काम करते हैं। ओके, देन यू हैव द यूनेट एंड FCN. FCN is your what you can say fully connected network. They again use, they divide the images into meaningful segments using their pixel values. वो उनके पिक्सल वैल्यूज के आधार पर इनको अलग अलग छोटे छोटे सेगमेंट्स में डिवाइड करते हैं। देन मीडिया पाइप इज अ गुड एल्गोरिदम or good model which is used for pose estimation. Pose estimation means like the way you sit, the way I sit when you do those exercise. Okay, then how that model or application can tell you whether you are doing a correct exercise or not, angles, sub everything. So that is a pose estimation. Okay, then you have this OCRs which is used for your optical character recognition. Okay, जो आपके handwritings जो होती हैं, okay, उनको अलग अलग handwritings जब experts होते हैं, so using this computer vision OCR format, they can tell that this writing belongs or where to whom. So these are few of these algorithms which are used. Now let's try to talk about one of the algorithm, CNN. Okay, now CNN is a very good or beautiful architecture एल्गोरिदम कन्वोल्यूशनल न्यूरल नेटवर्क, जिसका बेसिक यूज है, इट्स अ क्लासिफायर। क्लासिफायर मींस ये इमेज क्लासिफिकेशन के लिए यूज होता है। ओके, व्हेन यू सी द आर्किटेक्चर मींस इसकी जो रूपरेखा है या इसकी बनावट या इसका जो मेन फीचर्स है वो क्या है। सो बेसिकली देयर आर टू फीचर्स इनटू इट्स, वन इज द फीचर एक्सट्रैक्शन। ये वो हिस्सा है, वो समझ लीजिए इस CNN का जो इमेज के फीचर्स को एक्सट्रैक्ट करता है। व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय द इमेज फीचर्स? लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, अभी हम लोगों ने डॉग की बात करी थी, उसके ईयर्स, उसकी आईज, उसकी नोज, उसकी टेल, उसके क्लॉज, फर, बॉडी, these are your features. Yes, so feature extraction is a part which extracts the important features which are providing certain information. Because देखिए, कोई भी जो इमेज होता है उसमें सारे की पूरी इमेज आपको 100% या कंप्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं देती है। उस इमेज में से भी कुछ ही पार्ट्स होते हैं उस इमेज के विच प्रोवाइड यू मीनिंगफुल इंफॉर्मेशन। So this feature extraction layer basically helps in extracting those features which are providing some meaningful information which can be analyzed and processed further. Next is your fully connected layer, जिसको उसका जो टास्क है, जो fully connected layer है, the task of that fully connected layer basically is this layer I'm talking about. This layer basically does the classification work. Once it receives the processed information from the feature extraction layer, okay, then whatever information it gets, it works on it, okay, and predicts whether this image will be what. Okay, so this is what this classification layer basically does. So if you talk about CNN, there are two important layers: feature extraction and classification, and finally it gives you the probabilities of the class. Okay, and for this classification it uses a software known as softmax. Okay, so fully connected layer में जब ये classification करता है तो ये एक सॉफ्टवेयर का यूज करता है, इसका नाम है softmax, which helps these features classify as per the probabilities. Okay, and the maximum probability is considered to be the image. So this is what is the architecture of your what you can say, this is how a CNN basically works. So to help you understand that how this basically works, कैसे ये feature को extract करता है, all those things. Okay, this is a small representation of this, how it works basically. So मान लीजिए कि as it is seen in this diagram, okay, that if you give a input of a trees data, so there are certain trees, okay, or when you have given a tree data, so that is the input data. First, when it will go to the feature extraction layers, okay, the feature, so it will convert the image data into a kind of a feature map, as you can see over here. Okay, so feature map is basically based on your pixel values. So जो important features होंगे, it will extract all those values, all those information. Then that after it has extracted the features, that information will be sent to the another layer known as पूल्ड फीचर मैप. पूल्ड फीचर मैप क्या करता है बेसिकली, वो स्पैटियल डिस्टेंस पे काम करता है, वो उसके डिस्टॉर्शन को ओके खत्म कर देता है, सो दैट फर्दर प्रोसेसिंग में इंफॉर्मेशन का लॉस ना हो. वंस इट इज once it passes through this pool, it goes to the classification layer, जहां पर जो मी इसको क्या कहते हैं क्लासिफिकेशन लेयर पर, it gets all the processed information from the extracted layer or the extraction layer, feature extraction layer, where it uses softmax software like softmax, or it provides you the classification in terms of probability कि ये कितना किस चीज पर कितना कौन सी probability है. The highest probability value will be considered कि ये tree है. So this is how CNN basically works. Okay, so that was about CNN. Now we move to the final section of our today's session, and that is how one of the case studies where we can use, where we are using computer vision domain, and how we can create AI models under this domain. So here my problem statement that I have taken here is the solid waste. Okay, now these are some facts and figures which are provided to understand the what you can say the magnitude of our problem. हमारी प्रॉब्लम कितनी गंभीर है वो इन डेटा से हम समझ सकते हैं कि अगर 2020 में एक वर्ल्ड का एस्टिमेटेड डेटा है कि 2.24 बिलियन टन्स ऑफ सॉलिड वेस्ट जनरेट किया जाएगा, which is amounting to the 0.79 kilograms per person, यानी कि हर आदमी एक दिन में 0.79 किलोग्राम सॉलिड वेस्ट जो है वो एक तरीके से प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है. तो यही फिगर जब हम 2050 में जाएंगे, ऑलमोस्ट 30 इयर्स, सो इसकी जो परसेंटेज इंक्रीज है, इट विल बी मोर देन अराउंड 73%, ये ज्यादा हो जाएगा, विच विल बी लाइक 3.88 बिलियन टन. यानी कि हमारी जो अर्थ है वो एक तरीके से जिसको बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में कूड़े का ढेर बन जाएगा. ओके, इट विल बी ऑल अराउंड filth everywhere. The heaps of dirt and solid waste mountains will be there. So this is my problem statement is there. Okay, so how I can use computer vision domain, okay, to meet out or to solve, if not solve, but address this particular problem. So using artificial intelligence, we are going to detect the trash. Okay, whether it is a trash which can be what you can say classify as a solid trash, which can be further then put into recycling something. So use of AI to correctly detect presence of a trash at a place. Okay, अब जैसे बहुत जगह आप लोगों ने हम लोग देखा होगी बहुत ज्यादा कूड़ा ऐसा पड़ा रहता है, तो उसमें से ट्रैश क्या है, उसमें से कितना कूड़ा है कितना कूड़ा नहीं है, उसको आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए वी आर यूजिंग दिस पर्टिकुलर व्हाट यू कैन से अ कंप्यूटर विजन डोमेन. So as we saw in the statistical data domain also, here also what we are doing it, first we will be importing all the important libraries. जो भी हमें libraries और packages चाहिए अपने model को train करने के लिए, first what we do, we import all those things. So here as you can see, there are number of libraries that we have imported. This is some are very standard libraries. कुछ libraries ऐसी हैं जो डेटा का जो रूट डायरेक्टरी है, डायरेक्टरी को स्टैब्लिश करने के लिए, डेटा इमेज डेटा को प्रोसेस करने की लाइब्रेरीज हैं. देन विजुअलाइजेशन लाइब्रेरीज यू आर डूइंग, देन यू आर हैविंग इंपोर्टिंग द आरसीएनएन okay, which all just now we understood what RCNN is to train the model. Okay, and once we have done this, then we are moving to the uploading or validation, load validation data set कि कैसे data को फिर हम लोग upload करेंगे. Okay, how we are uploading the data set. So for that, as you can see in this snippet, the code that is present is on your screen. Okay, so you are using this trash data set. Okay, as data set is a variable trash data set. So trash data set basically it is initializing your object. Okay, of a custom data set. जहां से भी आपका जो भी data set जहां से जो आपका लिया custom data set उसको initialize कर रहा है. Load trash में it is what you can say loading all the images and annotations, then prepare it is preparing the data set because before it goes for training it needs to be processed, the data needs to be processed. So that is where you're using the prepare, and then finally you are printing what you are printing. You are printing the image ID, that is your labels, the class, okay, the names, features, everything of the data. So this is where you are this is where your data is getting uploaded. Once your data is uploaded, okay, then you are selecting certain test images, and also you are loading the training weight data. So when you are uploading this, what you can say, where when you're uploading the test images, so basically what you are doing, so your images can be in different formats like jpg or jpeg, jpeg. So when in a computer vision, we need what we need to do, we need to uniform the formats, the file format. So this will actually help to restore, not restore rather, but to collect, to uniform the format, and then collect them into one data set. Then the next snippet, what you are seeing, the load the weights of the train. Here you are basically using a pre-trained model. Okay, so pre-train, what do you mean by pre-trained model? That means you're not building the model from scratch. There is already the model which exists. Now you are using that model, and you will be training that model with your own data set. That is what is your pre-train. So here you are using this code will help you uploading the mask RCCN, what you can say, data. And once you have uploaded this, so here where you are seeing this true, by name this true. Okay, so this is something where, because as you are working on a pre-trained model, okay, so architecture may be same, but here your data labels, or you can say the classes of data may be different from the data on which that model has been trained. So this function, what you can say, by underscore is equal to true, will help in what you can say loading all the weights, okay, of the model, but with different number of classes. Once you have done this, okay, then you are loading the model where you are ensuring the device. So when you're talking of the device, so it is basically ensuring that your data is loaded on the correct device. Device means if your system is having a CPU or a GPU, okay, graphic process unit, so it will, whatever the hardware structure is there, the data is going to select the correct computer device. It will, then it is going, it is creating your model, the mask RCNN, as you can see over here. And the mode, it is setting the model on an inference mode. Now, what is inference? Inferencing means, that means here it will be performing two functions. It will not, it will detect the object, that is the object detection, and it will be doing the segmentation of that. And then finally, and it is training, and finally what it is doing, it is the evaluating the model. So when it is evaluating the model, it reads each of the test data, okay, and then performs object detection on that, and then finally displays your, what you can say, data. ROIS means region of interest, masks, and class, what are the labels of the data, and all those. Once it has done all this prediction, so when you deploy the model, so see, it will be something in this particular form. So when you deploy the model in real time, so it will give you result in this form, as you can see on the screen, that it will create a kind of a red bounding box around the trash. Okay, that is the object detection part. As you can see, this line, the dotted line, this is the object detection it is doing. And this, the red color, what you are seeing, this is the segmentation. Okay, where it is clearly telling that out of this entire red bounding box, this is the where the trash is lying. Similarly, if you can see over here, this is a small box. Okay, out of this, it is saying this is the object detection. It has detected the object, and this is where your trash lies segmentation. Green bounding box, and this is where the trash lies. So this is how your model is basically deployed. So with this, we come to the end of our today's session. And in today's session, just for a quick summary, we talked about two different domains. One is statistical data. The other is your computer vision domain. We understood what is statistical data domain is, what are the different algorithms or the models that we can use to build a model or project in statistical data through a use case study of portability of a water. We understood how we proceed. हम लोग कैसे एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाने के लिए कौन कौन से स्टेजेस होते हैं, स्टेप्स होते हैं, एंड हाउ डू वी गो अबाउट इट. Computer vision also, we understood the basics of the domain. We also understood what are the different algorithms that can be used and वो हम लोग किस purpose के लिए use करते हैं. Okay, and then we saw a use case study, the trash detection, and how we use these AI models to perform this. So this was all from my side today. I hope that you must have had a good time in learning what AI, what the different domains are, and how we can use these domains in our day-to-day life. So with this, thank you so very much. Over to you, Shubhamji.
Thank you so much, Anupji, for this wonderful session. Uh, there are comments that they need to be very attentive while uh, seeing this whole new concept of computer vision data. Uh, and we have strategically put this session on a Friday so that they have sufficient time on Saturday to Sunday. Even if they need a repetition of these YouTube live sessions, you can go through again and again and can comprehend much better. Yeah. So there are 2 to 3 questions which I'll put forward uh, from the comment box. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So one is, what are some common mistakes we as a student can make while analyzing or collecting the data?
See, the mistakes that we do can happen. Okay, it's not that we purposely do. One thing is understanding of our data. Because if we don't understand our problem, because yesterday also we talked about the same thing, we collect data from different sources. So if we do not understand what the problem need and requirements are, so if the data does not match, then obviously we will not be able to do justice to the data. The another issue that comes in the processing of the data, because see, when we go into the data modeling or we training of the model, training part is very simple and easy. The maximum time that is spent in model development is where you are pre-processing the data. So we need to really understand our data well before we jump to the training model. So there are different stages of pre-processing. Okay, whether you have an outlier, whether you have a duplicate errors and all those things. So how you can remove all those things, that is what we have to pay attention when we are playing with the data.
Yeah. All right. One interesting question. Can you give us 1 or 2 examples of student-led project that have used computer vision effectively?
Oh, that's so it's a very good question. So I remember one example where now see again going back to the see when you work in an online environment, yeah, so it is very difficult to make student concentrate, yes, on this. So how to check upon that? Because sometimes what happens, we are in an online environment and students they are just playing, fooling around or whatever, not concentrating. So computer vision domain can be used to like provide feedback, check, monitor whether the students are attentive in a class or not. Some students have all the students have also created project on emotional part of that to using the facial expressions of the students of the, or the data of the facial expression of students or any person. The model can detect that whether what is the emotions of the person going through, whether he's sad, whether he's happy, or he is feeling anguish or whatever. So there are different means like examples where students have used computer vision to make.
All right. We'll take one more question. Let me just check again. Uh, how can students test the accuracy of their computer vision model in a simple way?
So see, there is no standard protocol for simple way as such. So there is what you can say something known as confusion matrix. And this confusion matrix helps us in understanding the relationship between the different parameters. Okay, helps us to understand what is the precision, what is the sensitivity of the model, that is what is known as your recall, the accuracy part of it. So the simplest way is that you nowadays when you are working now when you are working on a project, so you have to just import a library known as accuracy and the to get the summary part of it. So it automatically will give you the entire, as you saw in that project also, it will give you the entire result, the classification of what is the accuracy, what is the precision, what is, but the basic fundamental that is being used is the confusion matrix behind that.
Sure. Uh, that's it, Anupji. Thank you for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
Students, we would request you, if you find it key okay, uh, from your current level of understanding, it is requiring more and more replay of this session. We have strategically put it as a YouTube sessions so that you can see it later at any point of the time. So please utilize your weekend to go through this session once more, and get to know these concepts. These are very important tools to build your AI projects as well. Now, some questions regarding the programmatic point of view. Uh, Hope all of you have registered already for India AI Tinkerpreneur. If not, you can just Google it, India AI Tinkerpreneur 2025. The second link you will got it to know is the link of the registration. Alternatively, you can go to the Atal Innovation Mission website, aim.gov.in. There, the first banner is of the India AI Tinkerpreneur. You can click it and get yourself registered. Once you get registered, you will have the details of all the 10 sessions and 2 master classes we are holding up. The first session held yesterday, that was again taken up by Anup ji, and today's session has been again taken up by Anup ji. So both the sessions, the first 2 sessions are over. The first session content and the quiz has already been enabled yesterday itself. For all those who haven't attempted the quiz, please go to that portal and attempt the quiz. For today, the content and quiz will be soon enabled in due course of the time, and you can attempt that quiz and access the content as well. Please note again, out of the 10 sessions, 8 quizzes must be mandatorily be attempted to get the participation certificate. I have also seen the queries regarding the submission. The submission of the projects will start only from 16th of July and not before that. This is because you take the series of the sessions in a mannerful way, develop your own products, get through the entrepreneurship modules as well, and then try to build your project. You will have sufficient time of at least 2 to 3 weeks to build your project from 16th July onwards. So please start thinking on what you can build, okay, and try building it series wise by getting these skills, by acquiring these skills. So here we stop today. Thank you everyone for joining, and we are ending it here. Thank you, Anup ji, again for delivering such a perfect session. Yeah.
Thank you.